Hey, it's me, GV, and welcome to this week's Sub Saturdays, ladies and gentlemen. So, Game of Thrones used to be my favorite show of all time. I used to love it to death and think that it could do no wrong at all. In fact, I realize now, this cat is named Greyjoy after, of course, one of the great houses. The cat that's in the hallway over there is named Yen after Targaryen. It was my favorite show, and it could do no wrong at all, up until probably, I want to say, about either seasons 5, 6, or 7. I don't remember when the exact point was, but something started feeling off and weird. And now, in season 8, as most of the internet seems to agree, but again, it could just be, you know, the loud minority, the most recent season, season 8, has not been to the level of quality that the previous seasons have been, and season 7 I don't think was either. I'd have to go back and rewatch, and then I think even parts of season 6. So for a while now, the quality of this show has been going a bit downhill. I am a huge fan of the books, so thankfully I still have the books to look forward to once GRRM finally gets around to writing and finishing the last 2. But for all of us show watchers as well, me being a show watcher as well, I mean, yeah, man, this is turning out to be quite the disappointment. So tomorrow, Sunday at 7 p.m. Mountain Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and whatever else, the show will end. The final 80 minutes of Game of Thrones will air, and that'll be it. And at this point, I honestly think it's pretty irreparable. I don't think, no matter what they do on tomorrow's episode, I don't think they'll be able to sort of repair the condition of Game of Thrones, which this season they have worked pretty hard to reduce. That being said, even though us fans are maybe not totally excited as to how it's going to end, you can be damn sure that everyone's going to be watching the ending, since we've invested all this time into this show. So I figured I want to give sort of some predictions and also how I think the story should end tomorrow, and at least I'm hoping. And this is a pretty regimented, normal ending, but honestly, I think that's what this show needs now, without all of this really weird writing and rushed plots and stuff like that. So without further ado, this is how I think Game of Thrones should end tomorrow. So Daenerys Targaryen needs to die, ideally by Jon's hand, considering he is her lover and a fellow Targaryen and her nephew. And I put that in quotes because, to me, the love between Dany and Jon was super duper rushed, and that just seems to be the theme of these past seasons. But nevertheless, she is irredeemable. She has murdered so many innocents now, going full Mad Queen with her dragon, that there's really nothing else for her to do. She cannot be queen now. You know, no one's gonna like her. No one is ever gonna respect her. She is an awful person now. With the turn of a hat. Is that a phrase? Regardless, she needs to pay for her crimes, and in the world of Game of Thrones, usually you do pay for your crimes eventually, no matter how long it takes. And there's a couple of ways that this could go about. Arya could be an assassin and assassinate her, which, you know, the show is putting so much emphasis on Arya. It's annoying to me as a book reader, but even though I like her character. But Arya could do the standard thing and assassinate her somehow. She's obviously been shown to not like Dany, just like Sansa. But I think it would be more poetic if Jon did it. I don't know how he would do it, but he'd either have to kill the dragon as well, or the dragon maybe would respect him being a Targaryen. I don't know if that's how it works. It seems like a crapshoot, but maybe he would be able to sort of inherit the dragon, which would help him secure power in Westeros. But regardless, Dany does need to die, and whether it's from Arya, Jon, or somebody else, I'm pretty sure that will happen. So Jon should sit the Iron Throne. At the end of the day, the series is called A Song of Ice and Fire, the ice being Jon Snow, the fire being Daenerys Targaryen, and maybe even Ice and Fire being Jon Snow and, you know, Aegon Targaryen, those two things coming together, which would mean if Jon doesn't have a really significant role at the end of the entire series, what is the significance of the title? Because Dany is definitely not going to retain power, there's no way, which means that the only other super duper mega ultra important character that would have any semblance of power would be Jon Snow. So I think he either has to A, sit the throne, or if the throne's destroyed, or if the idea of the throne is destroyed, then he's going to become I think it is going to be the 1000th Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, considering he died. He was a Lord Commander, he died, and then he's resurrected. It should be the 1000th. I mean, it's 2 on the nose for that number, so it's kind of weird, but nevertheless, I know there's no wall anymore, but maybe a new re-envisioned Night's Watch, which obviously Jon would be much more comfortable in that position. So they've destroyed Tyrion's character. They've kind of made him into a fool. He's just been making mistake after mistake. I don't think they're going to treat him like that in the books, because what is the point of his character then? So I really don't care what happens to show version of Tyrion. He is not the book version, in my opinion. He is just some bastardized gimmick of a character now, although he used to be really good. So what I think will happen to him is he'll either sort of represent the remaining Lannister power if they'll accept him, or if not, he'll be an advisor to Jon, because they were friends at one point. I assume they still are friends. So if Jon does retain some sort of power, I think he'll take on Tyrion as an advisor, or Tyrion will just oversee sort of the Lannisters, because who's left? I think he's pretty much the best candidate. So Arya, I don't know if it's in the books or the show, but she has expressed interest to sail west of Westeros, where nobody knows what's over there. Like, anybody that's gone over there has never come back. I think that would be a perfect ending to her character. She struggles with being this super killer, but also struggles with being a good actual person, not just a killing robot. So she's going to be kind of lost, I think, at the end of the series, and she'll either stick with being in Winterfell next to Sansa, but I don't think that would really fit her. I think she's an adventurer, so she wants to go west and basically never be seen again, and her story's left ambiguous as to, we can probably assume that she did find some sort of adventure or new interesting things over there, as opposed to just dying. But that's what I think would fit her character best. Sansa is obvious to me. She's obviously going to be the Queen of Winterfell. There's really no better candidate, and if she's not Queen of Winterfell, then her entire story has been pointless, and there's no point to her if somebody else takes that role. She will be Queen of Winterfell, Queen in the North, and Brienne alongside of that will be the Knight Captain, the Guard Captain, whatever you want to call it, like her personal guard, head of the Watch, whatever it is. Brienne will serve that role. I think there's no question about that. What else are they going to do? I really don't like Samwell Tarly in the books or in the show. I feel like anybody that exhibits that much cowardice throughout the entire, epic, it really just gets on my nerves, and I've never liked that character. It looks like he's been wrapped up. I guess he does deserve a nice life with Gilly, and I think he mentioned they had another kid on the way, right? So there are 2 kids. That's fine. I really don't think about Sam much, and just kind of want him out of the picture. I know people like the actor, and I know people do like the character. I never have. So Bran should go on doing absolutely nothing, as he's done for a very long time. If the show does not correct his character, that, in my opinion, is one of, if not the biggest blunders by the writing team on Game of Thrones. What has been the point of Bran at all? He has pretty much done nothing, and it pisses me off because there's been so much screen time dedicated to this character. In all honesty, there's some rumors that he's going to be the king. I'm not going to get into it because it's sort of like leaked stuff, and I haven't looked at it. I've heard some things through the grapevine. If they actually do sit him on the Iron Throne, that's an incredibly dumb decision, and one that I hope does not come to fruition in the books. He is a robot. He doesn't understand empathy. He won't be able to connect with the people that he's ruling. Yeah, he's got, I guess, some ambiguous powers, but that would be a terrible choice. In reality, I guess the only point of his character would be to see like another looming threat. Maybe the final shot of the entire series is that he knows the White Walkers aren't fully dead or defeated, or there's another threat or something like that. I really have no idea what they're doing with this character, and if they don't resolve it, oh boy, that's one of the dumbest things about this show for sure. If anybody deserves a really good life and a happy ending, it's Sir Davos. He's one of my favorite characters. I love the actor, and he deserves a better end to his story than Sam will ever deserve. So I know he had a wife. I don't know if he still has the wife. I forget if she's alive or not, but if she is, he should just go back to her and have, spend the rest of his days in a very peaceful situation. He deserves all the best endings. I don't care what happens to Bronn. He was never that big of a character in the books. I heard some interesting interviews and stuff saying basically that, whenever a character is very popular. They give them much more screen time than like the source material dictated. So Braun kind of blew up into this bigger character that really never should have existed, in my opinion. I mean, he's cool, like he's a sellsword, but he served his purpose. Honestly, I want to see him stricken down by a crossbow, you know, in irony of sort of betraying his two best friends in the world. I want to see him gunned down in the streets with a crossbow, and then that's it, because he's obviously not ruling Highgarden, and if they do have him rule Highgarden, another incredibly dumb decision. So I really hope that that does not happen. I hope he's just gunned down. I really never liked the character, to be honest. He's kind of cool at the start, but he's overstayed his welcome, in my opinion. Gendry should rule the Stormlands. He doesn't know anything about ruling. He barely knows how to use a fork or whatever he said, but I think that his compassion and his humility and his down-to-earth nature would help him out ruling the Stormlands. It'd probably be very hard for him still, but I think he would be able to connect with the people. And if there is any sort of power to be had in the Stormlands, yeah, let's see what Gendry can do. Tormund should take great care of Ghost. Obviously, Jon in this show doesn't give a shit about him. Didn't even pet the dog when he was leaving. That's... what is this show right now? But I think Tormund should just, again, have a peaceful life. He's an awesome character in the show. I really think they did a good job with him, and he should just have a, whatever type of life he wants to live, that should happen. But I will say, maybe there is a chance that he will see something far north of the wall, or wherever he's at, in the north. He will see something, a new threat, just like maybe Bran would see, and that might be the last shot of the series, or I don't know, just give way to something else. But I feel like either his story's completely wrapped up, or he'll have one final little point of being an observer of something very, very bad in the north. And lastly, this is, as far as I know, the final sort of important character. Grey Worm should just turn into a killing machine. Honestly, it doesn't make sense to me, given the unsullied nature, that he would feel so much. I know that that's interesting, like a killing robot, learning to feel, kind of like Dexter, Dexter's arc in Dexter's Laboratory, no, Dexter, the Showtime show. I think it would be cool if he just reverted back and he never changed again to being a killing machine, because he is devoid of love and empathy and emotion now since Missandei was killed. I think that's pretty much the best that could happen to that character, the most realistic ending. And now we're on to the two big endings that I think could happen. So first off is the Iron Throne either being destroyed or retaining. Now, they didn't show Dany destroying it from what I understand, so it's still standing, which because if they did destroy it, then there would kind of be no conflict for the end episode, because who's going to rule? That's the final thing. So if the Iron Throne does indeed remain, which I don't think it will, I think it's more likely to be destroyed, but if it is actually remaining and somebody does need to rule it, even though it's kind of cliche and obvious, I think Jon should rule it. Obviously, he's the best at it. He's the reluctant king, which usually makes the best king. I mean, that was like George Washington, right? The first president. I just think he would be the best fit, and plus he has a lot of people that support him, and a lot of characters that can sort of fall in line around him. Sansa in the north, to have power in the north. Tyrion, who's got no idea what he's going to do. Just people around him that will rally to his cause. There's no other, in my opinion, person that would be able to sit the Iron Throne. That's it. The Iron Throne remains. He's not gonna like it. I don't want to rule, but he's gonna do it anyways, and he's probably gonna be a good king. And then the rest of the series will just, or the rest, the idea will be that he has to deal with the turmoil across the Seven Kingdoms that has been presented now. But if the Iron Throne is destroyed and there's nothing remaining, and really, King's Landing's done, I think that he will be the 1000th, because I think they're going to be up to the 1000th Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. He will have died, come back again as another number, which is pretty cool. And again, there's no wall, and there's no there's no White Walkers anymore. Well, there's a wall, but it's broken. They could repair it, I guess. But I think it would just more represent kind of watching the entire Seven Realms. Maybe the force would grow so big that it'd be kind of like the realm defenders instead of just the wall, and he would be the 1000th and head commander of the wall. I would like that ending much more. Obviously, that suits Jon much more than being king, Iron Throne king. Being the big Lord Commander guy that the Night's Watch extends to just the entire Seven Kingdoms. That, in my opinion, would be a really good ending. It's pretty cliche and on the nose, but still, I think that would fit. And then, you know, they could just end it with that, or they could end it with a looming threat, the White Walkers coming back again. Given the show's history, the show's recent history, I wouldn't be surprised if they do actually consider the White Walkers completely done and wiped out with literally just a stab from a little girl. I still can't believe that happened, and that's how they decided to end the biggest looming threat of the entire series. But if they, you know, they could either end it, you know, sort of bittersweet in that Jon has to rule, but there's a lot of problems that he's got to solve, or they could end it with you know, one final looming threat, seeing the White Walkers getting resurrected, or seeing even another threat or something like that. And that's probably going to be it, unless there's a twist, which if there's a twist, I honestly don't know where they could go with it. I don't think they have enough time, but I would like a twist, but that's what I'm thinking. So there we go. I know that this was a very big video. I hope you all enjoyed it. It saddens me to see the state of this show now, and really I'm just hoping for something tomorrow, some sort of twist or some sort of punch to the gut, because honestly, even with all the deaths that happened in last week's episode, I really didn't feel much as I did when I saw what happens in season 3 and season 4. I was like, oh my god, but now it just feels so unlike Thrones to me that I really, you know, I don't know. I hope there's some semblance of satisfaction tomorrow, but what's probably going to end up happening is I'm just going to have to wait for the last 2 books, hopefully if he ever finishes them, and get my satisfaction that way. So let me know what you think about all these things that I've just said. I really am curious. Let me know in the comment section below. I'm very, very curious. And yeah, I will be watching along with all of you. Last thing I'll leave you with is that yesterday, Friday at 4 p.m. Mountain Time, we started a Dragon Age 2 playthrough on Twitch. This is continuing from our Dragon Age Origins playthrough on Twitch, so you can import the saves and your choices into Dragon Age 2, and that's what we're rolling with. So if you want to watch that playthrough, every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, 4 p.m. Mountain Time over on Twitch, that's 6 p.m. East, we'll be doing that playthrough, along with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. So a lot of RPG stuff going on over there. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next Sub Saturdays. Bye bye.